You are welcome to another episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show, where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. It's been not only hard to understand, but also quite shocking to learn that the US legal system would base an indictment on a television documentary, typically filmed for entertainment reasons in order to maximize sales on streaming platforms, and with the intention to create the narrative that R. Kelly is a very dangerous person, goals the production team did maliciously achieve. And later base a judgment on the same visual material, this time accompanied with witness testimonies by the multiple women appearing in the docuseries, and a presentation of all kinds of evidence one would consider irrelevant to the case. Another bothering move by the judiciary was the way the prosecution witnesses' claims were adopted as the whole truth, declining any dissenting views that came from the defense, eventually ruling that R. Kelly is guilty of all the 10 charges that were placed against him, including those that were simply crafted by handwork and forced into the indictment with completely no evidence to back them up. Among these are the RICO violation counts, which suggest that R. Kelly did operate an enterprise that enabled him commit the alleged crimes. We understand that these dissenting views by the defense may have been presented to the court after the conviction, but this is the reason court provides for post-trial motions. It's never too late when it comes to legal matters and court processes, and there should always be a commitment by court to resolve matters arising at any time during the trial process. The judge has no reason whatsoever to reject legal advice in form of arguments from the defense on the basis of timing. Even pre-sentencing mitigations alone should be able to reverse decisions, for as long as the defense makes a valid case with their new arguments. Returning to the documentary, there are like 1,000 reasons why the government should never base on such series, which are usually purposed for entertainment and sales by self-seeking directors and producers always looking for fame to indict citizens like they did R. Kelly. When editing TV series productions, there is so much content cut out, and scenes jumbled in a way that can be detrimental to the message one may intend to put forward. In the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, for example, there are scenes that show one of the alleged victims, Dominic, crying, not necessarily because she had a problem herself, but because she was concerned about what the production team was trying to do to R. Kelly. When a scene like this is mixed up with everything else, it's literally stolen and used to better the prosecution's case over the defense. There happens to be many actors that were brought on board without knowledge of what was even being filmed. These provided a lot of background information about R. Kelly, like how he grew up in Chicago, and his desire to become a superstar, all to be used in an agenda to destroy him. In one interview with Public Announcement, R. Kelly's former mates state how some important facts that were filmed in an interview with one of them were intentionally left out. But this is exactly how documentaries are made. And that is why such a production should never have been used as a basis to indict the R&B King. The show did not stop at portraying the wrong picture of who R. Kelly was, but also influenced the jurors' decision, considering most of them had watched it, and had their minds twisted by it to look at R. Kelly like the predator it suggested he was. Such jurors could not help it prejudicing the R&B King. Anyone could easily take the TV show as the whole truth. People tend to believe everything they watch. The reason many believe in movies. It's crazy to see that while it should be illegal to produce a documentary like the Surviving R. Kelly series pre-indictment, considering how such content can wrongly influence a legal process and defame an innocent man, the government and judiciary are instead embracing the work of Sony's agent Dream Hampton in this unacceptable act of defamation. While such journalism may be acceptable after an independent jury, not under the influence of toxic films of the sort, has determined the defendant guilty, when the documentary becomes the first thing out, it risks misleading the authorities, and this is how innocent souls sometimes end up on the electric chair. Each department should be given the space to operate independently, without any external influence from the others. While the journalist's work is to report, those who spearheaded the Surviving R. Kelly documentary did more than just report. They judged R. Kelly, and in the process left the jury and judge with no work left, but to simply put a stamp on the predetermined verdict. We are not here to blame the Surviving R. Kelly production team and their patrons at Sony alone, but also to hold the justice system accountable, for they entertained these mistakes, and did a perfect job cementing the government's false claims against R. Kelly, when they knew well that the case facts had been hijacked pre-trial by the misleading series? Why would the judiciary even allow government prosecution to operate this way? Is serving justice still on their main menu? Or did they have a change of mandate that we haven't yet been sensitized about? I beg to be enlightened. According to Robin McQueen, indeed the surviving R. Kelly docuseries was what distracted the New York jury from doing their job. Swamped by the sentiments arising from the TV show, they lost their position and power to prevail over this case, and instead became advocates for the prosecution. I actually think the reason the first surviving R. Kelly production team could have resigned because they were afraid of going to prison, considering they knew well that whatever they were doing, defaming R. Kelly before he went through a proper trial, was purely illegal practice. They were quick to sense that while Sony may be behind them right now, they will eventually be held accountable for their actions. The team that was hired after needs to remember that while Sony may be currently behind them, it's no guarantee that the company will be there when it's payback time for their role in this illegal act of defamation and misleading the court officials. How about they check with government, which now has to compensate Daryl McDavid to a tune of $850,000, and understand how much they may have to pay if R. Kelly is acquitted. According to Sandra Hudson, it is so sad to learn that the team which resigned from the surviving R. Kelly docuseries production were made to sign NDAs and cannot speak out. How meaningful it would have been if they were able to reach out to the public with this valuable information. What I can assure them is there is more wealth for them to gain in being modest and ever truthful, than in teaming up with mudslingers of this nature. While they may think they lost out on something, they ought to know that they instead survived the wrath of God, when he finally says enough is enough and vindicates the R&B king. I know a number of people who watched the series and all of them said the same thing. It just didn't feel right and created an aura of darkness in the room. I haven't watched it myself and I don't intend to. I have only watched bits in my effort to understand what type of production it is. It's clear that it was a wrong decision by the government to base their indictment on such a non-revealing documentary, that will forever be remembered as a tool used by Sony Records, in their attempt to destroy a great black man who will never be replaced. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say? To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.